Evening viewer, welcome to our Glory Globe TV. Here's the breaking news. A 25-year science wager has come to an end in 1998. Neuroscientist Christoph Koch bet philosopher David Chalmers that the mechanism by which the brain's neurons produce consciousness would be discovered by 2023. The board scientists agreed publicly on 23rd June at the annual meeting of the Association for the Scientific Study of Consciousness in New York City that it is still an ongoing quest. The declared Chalmers the winner. What ultimately helped to settle the bet was a key study testing two leading hypotheses about the neural basis of consciousness, whose findings were unveiled at the conference. It was always a relatively good bet for me and a bold bet for Christoph, says Chalmers, who is now co-director of the Center for Mind, Brain and Consciousness at New York University. But he also says this is not the end of the story and that an answer will come eventually. There has been a lot of progress in the field. Consciousness is everything a person experiences, what they taste, hear, feel and more. It is what gives meaning and value to our lives, Chalmers said. Despite a vast effort and a 25-year bet, researchers still don't understand how our brains produce it. However, it started off as a very big philosophical mystery, Chalmers said, but over the years it has gradually been transmuting into, if not a scientific mystery, at least one that we can get a partial grip of scientifically. Koch, a meritorious investigator at the Allen Institute for Brain Science in Seattle, Washington, began his search for the neural footprints of consciousness in 1980s. Since then, he has been invested in identifying the bits of and pieces of the brain that are really essential, really necessary to ultimately generate a feeling of seeing, of hearing or wanting, as he puts it. At the time Koch proposed the bet, certain technological advancement made him optimistic about solving the mystery sooner rather than later. Functional magnetic resonance imaging, that is called fMRI, which measures small changes in blood flow that occur with brain activity, was taking laboratories by storm, and optogenetics, which allowed scientists to stimulate specific sets of neurons in the brains of animals such as non-human primates, had come on the scene. Koch was a young assistant professor at the California Institute of Technology in Pasadena at the time. I was very taken by all these techniques, he says. I thought 25 years from now, no problem. For many years, the bet was mostly forgotten, that is until a few years ago when it was resurfaced by Per Sandford, a scientist journalist based in Stockholm who had interviewed Chalmers back in 1998. His recording of the chat reminded the pair of the terms they had said in the wager and the case of wine that was at stake. Around that time, both Koch and Chalmers had become involved in a large project supported by the Templeton World Charity Foundation based in Nassau, the Bahamas, aiming to accelerate research on consciousness. The goal was to set up a series of adversarial experiments to test various hypotheses of consciousness by getting rival researchers to collaborate on the study's design. If their predictions did not come true, this would be a serious challenge for their theories, Chalmers says. The findings from one of the experiments, which involved several researchers including Koch and Chalmers, were involved and revealed on Friday at the ASSC meeting. It tested two of the leading hypotheses, integrated information theory and global network workspace theory. IIT proposed that consciousness is a structure in the brain formed by a specific type of neuronal connectivity that is active for as long as certain experience, such as looking at an image, is occurring. This structure is thought to be found in the posterior cortex at the back of the brain. On the other hand, GNWT suggests that consciousness arises when information is broadcast to areas of the brain through an interconnected network. The transmission, according to the theory, happens at the beginning and end of an experience and involves the prefrontal cortex at the front of the brain. Six independent laboratories conducted the adversarial experiment following a pre-registered protocol and using various complementary methods to measure brain activity. The results, which have not yet been peer reviewed, did not perfectly match either of the theories. BN Nasiport, Glory Globe TV, Delhi.